One day, Thomas was on his way to High Farm when Rosie stopped beside him. Rosie was a cheerful, chirpy little tank engine. She was always pleased to meet Thomas.
So, I know I'm a little late making this video, but hey, better late than never, am I right? Oh, come on, what is this? Today, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be going back to the history of. But today's episode is a little different. We're still looking at a Thomas character, it's even still a locomotive, but it's a character who isn't as deep-rooted as some others. What I mean by that is we're taking a look at Rosie, a character who didn't exist in the Railway series, and who, compared to other characters like Gordon, Edward, or Henry, isn't really flushed out as much. But regardless of that, today I thought it'd be fun to scrounge up anything we can find about her character, what inspired her character, and most importantly talk about the history of her model, or in this case models from the model series. And hopefully by the end of this video you guys will have learned a little bit more about her. So with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. In terms of her basis, Rosie is based on the USATC S100 class and the Southern Railway SRUSA class. Both were designed in the Second World War for shunting duties in Europe, and after the war ended, 15 of the S100s were sold to Southern Railway, who modified them for use as dockyard shunters at Southampton. It was there they worked alongside the E2s, which is Thomas's class, before eventually the SRUSA class was replaced with British Rail Class 07 diesels, that being in 1962. However, some members of this class remained in service on departmental duties until 1967. Over 100 of the S100 class still remain or are preserved in various conditions in some European countries, as well as the United States, China, and even Egypt. 4 members of the SRUSA class are currently preserved, including one at the Bluebell Railway. In addition, several Yugoslavian-built copies of the S100 design also exist, including 2 that have been shipped to England and modified to represent the USA class members. In terms of Rosie's character, however, she made her first appearance in Thomas and the Birthday Mail, and is described as a lively little tank engine who idolizes Thomas, which at times is known to bother him. She works as both a shunting engine and a mixed traffic engine. Originally, she worked mainly at Knapford shunting yards, but towards the later end of the CGI series, was mainly based at Vickerstown. Rosie altogether is friendly, respectful, clever, and helpful, with a good sense of humor. And with the passage of time, Rosie became more focused and mature, eventually serving as the voice of reason to James's arrogance.
There's clearly something wrong with your brakes, James. You barely managed to stop. I don't think you should be racing.
Maybe we should drive.
And though she stands for no nonsense or teasing or rudeness, she still enjoys a friendly joke, and altogether is a character that the other engines can rely on. Now, enough about all of that, let's get into the fun stuff. Rosie was introduced as a new character in Season 10, that being in 2006, and was created by James Mason. She was made to play an energetic and eager tomboy role, and in terms of her Gauge 1 model, there were actually 2 models of Rosie built, each being scratch-built from brass, and running on Gauge 1 track, while her wheels and chassis were custom machined, or CNC. There were 6 different facial expressions to be shared between the models that follow a similar story to what you likely already know. They were sculpted in clay, and from that resin casts were made using a silicone mold. She also featured the familiar eye mechanism, one that ran with 2 servos, one for up and down movement and one for left and right movement. Currently, one of Rosie's faces is now owned by Twitter user Isaac M6991. Rosie's actual shape in the television series is heavily modified from that of her basis. For example, Rosie has both her whistle and connecting rods in different positions, her funnel is much taller, and her overall whistle position is also different. Overall, much like the other Thomas characters, her design has been made much more simplistically. One of Rosie's models is currently on display at Drayton Manor, and is wearing her smiling face mask. Throughout the years, as you could have guessed, this model has been damaged, or is missing parts, such as the whistle being missing since the exhibition opened. Sometime in 2017, the back of her left side rod had broken off, several brass chips have appeared on the model, and the motor itself gave out in 2019. I'm not sure what happened to the other model, but here's to hoping it's in better shape than this one. Rosie also had a close-up model built, which was required for scenes where she had to interact with close-up scale figures. At times it was also used for close-up whistle shots, as smoke would emit from the whistle when required, and though a good chunk of the model was built, only missing wheels and a visible face, only the back half of this model was ever shown on screen, and the close-up model itself only appeared in the 10th season episode Thomas and the Birthday Mail. Now, as we all know, in 2009, the show made a switch from live-action scenes with the models to complete CGI, and Rosie was one of the characters to be featured in this series. She was designed in Maya, a 3D animation and modeling software, and photographs of Rosie's Gauge 1 model were used for reference. During 2016, the production team decided to completely rebuild Rosie, due to loads of fan mail asking for more of her, most likely between January and April. It was at this point Rosie gained her red livery, definitely a nice change. While personally I have to say I prefer the pink for nostalgic reasons, I still really enjoyed her recolor, and the idea that they took this character, redesigned her a little bit, and at least tried to make her better for the viewing audience. Admittedly, I do like to rag on the CGI series, but I do my best to recognize things like this, which altogether was a nice thing for them to do. According to a tweet from SIF, other new liveries were considered for Rosie, which included blue and green. However, these were eventually rejected in favor of the red livery, and honestly I have to say that was a pretty good choice. And unfortunately, that pretty much wraps up the history of Rosie. Which Rosie livery was your all's favorite? Be sure to comment down below, and if you guys have any recommendations or other characters you'd like to see, be sure to add that below too, and I'll do my best to add them to the next poll I make for this series. As always guys, thanks again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next one.
Together. Thomas tooted happily. And so did Rosie.
Monkey with massive testicles.